All right, back here on Inside Wrestling Radio, and today on the telephone is a thrill for me, and that is a legitimate thrill to have one of the legendary people in our business. This guy, Scott Steiner, man, I can't say enough good things about him. He needs no introduction. I mean, he's done everything there is to do in this business. He's worked WCW. He's been a heavyweight champion there, two-time United States champion, two-time television champion, 14-time tag team champions, and a 9-time, of course, with his brother Rick and the Steiner brothers tag team there. Scotty will be appearing June 25th in Greenville, South Carolina at the Shrine Event Center, taking on Carlito for the UCW Heavyweight Championship. This will be Budweiser presenting UCW Super Brawl June 25th. Right now, welcome to Inside Wrestling Radio, Scott Steiner. Scott, how you doing, man?
Good. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Listen, I do want to tell you, it is an absolute thrill, and I cannot thank you enough for coming on this program. It just means a ton to me. I've always followed your career and your brother's career there back as far as you guys go, and, man, it's just great to have you on. How you been doing? How's everything going with you, Scotty?
I'm doing good. Surviving, man.
That's all we can do, isn't it, bro?
That's right.
Good deal. So you're coming back to Greenville on the 25th. Are you looking forward to that?
Oh, yeah. We wrestled a lot in Greenville. We wrestled for WCW. And that was a great town. Looking forward to coming back.
Yeah, big wrestling town, Greenville. And man, I just expect them to welcome you back with open arms there. When I was talking to the promoter there, Ronnie Gossett, who runs UCW, he was talking about who he was bringing in and stuff like that. And then, of course, the top name off my head was always, bring Scotty Steiner in, man. That guy will draw huge for you here in this area. What are some of your thoughts or your remembrances of the South Carolina area?
Like you said, it's always been a big wrestling place to go, and great fans, and they just appreciate wrestling. I've always liked to come down there.
Scotty, let's talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, let's go way back there to your early amateur stuff. You, of course, wrestled for the University of Michigan at 190 and was a 4-time NCAA Division I qualifier and taken 5th as freshman in the Big Ten. Do you miss, amateur wrestling at all?
Nah, not really. A little bit I do, but, once you get to college, you train hard, but I miss a little bit. I still talk to my buddies, coaches at Michigan right now, so I still go up there and go to alumni stuff, and I have a golf outing for all the alumni up there, but, I miss Michigan. Michigan was a great time. I had it when I was in college there, but I miss some of the times. We trained hard, man. We were training 3 times a day, so it gets tough,
Was it a big transition going from that style into the more worked professional style when you made that transition, or did you pick it up relatively easily?
No, because I incorporated a lot of my amateur wrestling and professional wrestling, and a lot of my suplexes and stuff like that. So it wasn't. I just had to transition to the showman part of the sport,
Working for WCW, man, and coming in there, how was that? Because, I know WCW, especially during the NWO times, man, I mean, you guys were on top of the world, and, of course, that's where you kind of made your reputation for having those those outrageous interviews, man. How was that time? I mean, it had to just be crazy, right?
Yeah, it was awesome. WCW was probably the best place to work, with Ted Turner being, the boss, and because he is a legitimate businessman, and other, when he started CNN. So, looking back, that was the best time and we were drawing, like I said, in NWO, that's when we were drawing huge crowds, and when I first started WCW, of course, that was great also because, that's when it transitioned from the NWA to WCW, so it was all kind of new for everybody, I mean, we were still wrestling in the same area, but it was on a much bigger scale, TBS took us worldwide, a larger audience, and we just started expanding, going worldwide, so it was a great time, Anything you start doing something new, it's always exciting,
I remember vividly just waiting for WCW Saturday Night to come on so I could see what was going on with the Horsemen and the Steiners, of course, and you guys. And I remember some big angles were shot there on that program, man. And, I don't know how you feel. I know wrestling has changed tremendously over the last 10, 15 years, Scotty. But man, everybody I talk to really, really, really just misses that style of wrestling and the way it was back then. It was, and I hate to use the word, but it almost seemed more real. What's your opinion on the way things were as opposed to the way things are?
Wrestling's not the way it was before, and unfortunately, it's a shame, just for whatever reason, just wrestling, especially when WCW went out of business, that's when wrestling took a downturn, and
Absolutely.
It's unfortunate, I mean, I'm not going to pinpoint because I'll probably get in trouble, but it's I don't know, it's just a lot of people are in wrestling that shouldn't be in wrestling.
Both in front and behind the cameras, right?
Yeah, so.
Absolutely. My friend Jim Mitchell worked, of course, with you guys when you were at WCW. Of course, he was a part of that Blood Runs Cold thing. At that time, man, the way he talked about WCW was it it was more or less kind of like a little bit of a madhouse at that time. Is that the way you remember it during that time when all that stuff was going on there?
Oh yeah, it was crazy because we were going, all these arenas and they were sold out, and we went to St. Louis, the Dome there. We had like 40,000 people. I mean, it was just crazy. It was a lot, but it was exciting, because we're doing things that haven't been done before, especially keep competing with the, WWF at the time. When we were drawing huge ratings, and it's like that was probably the best time in wrestling as far as drawing ratings, drawing record crowds, selling huge amounts of merchandise, and the fans were just into it. I venture to say we'll probably never get back to that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you foresee it ever returning to that level, man? I mean, because it was huge. It was worldwide. I mean, you guys were on lunch boxes and toys, and I mean, everything you could think of. You guys' faces were all over it. And so you really don't think it'll ever get back to that level?
No, because you had two powerhouses going at it. Ted was so much bigger than Vince as far as money-wise, company-wise. But Vince had the first to have a WrestleMania. He pretty much brought it to mainstream. But we also had the big guns to go against him, and it's like people were jumping ship, and that was a big deal too. That's what brought the money up too, is because that's when you had to pay to keep your players. And unfortunately, it's not like that now. It's like it's a monopoly, and Vince controls it. And I don't know. I don't see it happening,
Yeah, gotcha.
Unfortunately, that's what made it exciting, when two big groups were going at it, but like I said, it was great, man. It was an awesome time to be in wrestling,
Yeah, I'm sure nothing will ever compare to that particular moment in time in this business as far as it's concerned. Scotty, really quickly, we're up on a break here. Before we go to break, you currently kind of work for TNA also. Do you ever see them being a contender, certainly not on the level of WCW, but do you ever see them coming up anywhere near what they were before they went away?
It's hard to say, I mean, that's what my hopes are,
Sure.
That's why I'm there trying to help bring awareness to TNA, I don't know. It's like people just keep on making the same mistakes throughout wrestling. It's like they keep on making them, and that's one thing I don't understand,
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, Scott. I talked to Dutch Mantell here a couple of weeks ago, and he said that basically the exact same thing. He just does not understand why the same people are making the same mistakes and expecting a different outcome. It's kind of interesting that it's got to that point, don't you think?
You would figure you'd learn from your mistakes, but it's unfortunately, I
know.
I don't.
Yeah. I understand. All right, Scott, we're up on a break right now. When we get back from the break, I want to talk to you about the Frankensteiner, and I also want to talk to you more about the big event coming up June 25th in Greenville at the Shrine Event Center. We'll talk about all that stuff and more when we get back here from the break with the legendary Scott Steiner coming up next.